Special Saturday edition to the Milk Crate Moments podcast. And I have a guest this morning that I've known for, gosh, I don't know how long, 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
I met him several years back at an event in Chicago. I believe you
Yeah.
guys were in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And I think I was a sponsor at that event. I know I had a booth, so I had to be a sponsor to be there to have a booth, right? You weren't just giving them out randomly, were you?
No, we weren't.
So, and this is Paul Guyon, and Paul is a coach, and we're going to just have a great conversation today because one of the things he talks about is something that every small business owner, every business owner, not even small business owner, every business owner needs to know. This is not like, oh yeah, it would be great to know. This is like, you need to know this. So, Paul, thanks for being here. Welcome.
My
And
pleasure.
let's talk about, we always start with, what is your milk? Oh, let me turn on my background there. I don't know how that got turned off. So funny how that all happens, isn't it? But let's start with, what is your milk crate moment?
Oh, for sure. And it's Guyon.
Oh, what'd I say?
Guyon.
Guyon. Okay, Guyon. Sorry.
That's okay.
Apparently I don't know Paul that well. So,
Well, we
Guyon.
spent an hour and a half, 2 hours together just getting to know each other. So, and we didn't really talk about how to pronounce your name. It's Kuhn, right?
Kuhn.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So, milk crate moment. Well, as you might imagine, I have many. We all have many.
Right.
And hopefully, when you do have these moments, you pick yourself up and you grow from that moment. And so,
Right.
my milk crate moment that we're going to talk about today is when I quit coaching. I had a business partner, and we hosted that event, by the way, that you were at, called the Ultimate Mastermind Summit. And basically, I do have a full-time job and a coaching business, and I'm in transition right now. But back then I figured that, okay, I really like this guy. I liked his message. He's really smart, and we really hit it off. And I thought, gosh, I can really help him with his newsletter. I can help him with his marketing. I can help put on events. I can do all these things for him. And by doing that, that will not only will I learn some stuff, I'll be able to build a coaching business on it. And transition from my full-time job into coaching. And so it was going really well. In hindsight, what I realized now, but I didn't know it back then, was I was afraid to be in the limelight. I've always worked and helped business owners thrive and profit and grow by being in the back end, by being behind the scenes. And that's kind of what I did. So I really just invented another job for myself. And so it really wasn't the expert that I needed to be back then. And I didn't know that then.
You know what's so interesting about that? Because how long have you been a musician?
All my life.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's so interesting to me because musicians, you never feel they're like in the spotlight, right? When you
yeah,
walk into a place, it's like, oh, the band's here. And that's so interesting that you felt like but you are the drummer, so you are behind everybody, right? So that's
right. I'm
so
always looking at butts.
it's really interesting though, as a musician, right? I know you probably got into it for the love of music, but I
Yeah,
think they're musicians, they're celebrities, they are the show, right? They are the celebrities. So that's really interesting that you found that you like to be in the background rather than in the foreground. So go on. I just wanted to point that out because people don't know that you're a musician, and I
right.
found that interesting.
Well, and I do this year I'm doing 32 shows, which is a lot
That is a
for
lot.
this year. And on top of launching my business and 6 kids, and it's a lot, full-time job.
Like
But
cats.
yeah, and 3 cats and 2 dogs.
There you go.
The thing about being a drummer, though, the drummer is the most important thing of a rock band for sure.
Right.
the drummer sets the tone. The drummer makes you move if he's good, and you don't move. And if you don't move, and if you're in a setting where people need to move, like a club or a festival or something like that, where they're there to have fun and to dance, if you aren't moving the people, then oh, that band sucks, or I
Mhm.
didn't like that band. And so last night, I had a show last night, and one of the patrons came up to me and said, "Now," and she was very careful to let me know that she wasn't flirting with me, because that happens, especially with drummers, because we're the spotlight, right? Even though we're behind everybody, we're making it all happen. Uh, and she came up to me and she said, "I always wanted to be a drummer. And I was watching you, and I was right with you the whole way. I knew exactly what you were doing. I was just, forgive me for staring. And I'm not flirting." She kept telling me that. And I said, I understand. She was a friend of the leader of the band. So whatever. But she told me that, yeah, you were moving. You did a great job because you were moving us. Everyone was moving. The people were dancing, and that lights me up to hear that. Just like coaching lights me up. It's the same kind of thing. So getting back to the story,
Yeah.
um, being behind the scenes was kind of where I thought I needed to be, and I didn't feel worthy, maybe, of being the person who was doing the teaching in that. But as it turns out, I am. Didn't know that back then. Well, anyway, so as we had a mastermind group, we had a coaching program. It was very general coaching. Uh, Growth coaching, and we had a disparate group of entrepreneurs in our setup, in our mastermind group. And our my business partner was, I think, more interested in getting speaking gigs, and because of some of his demons, he had to keep hustling for that. He had to keep hustling for the gigs, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, it wasn't getting me what I needed, and what I needed to do was growth, and to get behind, get out in front. And like I said, in hindsight, hindsight is 2020. Uh, so we came to a point where we just were not on the same page any longer, and we were bickering, we were fighting. I know that, how that's like, what that's like when you're with someone who I've been with this guy for 10 years, uh, and I just had to, okay, I'm going to quit. I fired him. I said, fired him from my life. Kind of edited out of him out of my life for a while, because because all I would do was complain about him.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in that space. I don't want to complain. And it was really, really discouraging, because I had this entrepreneurial dream. I've always been an entrepreneur. Ever since you asked me how long I've been a musician, I've been putting on shows since I was 12 years old. And I've had, 30 or 40 bands uh, over the years, putting on events, having parties, and renting halls and things like that. And so um, I was used to doing that kind of thing, but I lost my train of thought. So, anyways,
You were
you can say,
talking about uh, the milk crate moment there, where you had to, where you were at. I think you were just coming up to it, is like, so you were telling us where you were at, and that you fired your partner so
yeah,
that you could what?
yeah, losing a partner like that
Mhm.
is like losing your best friend, or
Sure.
it's like the death of a loved one, almost, because you go to pick up the phone and go, oh, that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And so that, and I had my full-time job. I didn't have a partner, a spouse, or a girlfriend at the time. And so I was really lonely. I had my pets. Fortunately, I had a couple cats, but uh, yeah, I was really so deflated and so discouraged and in despair, almost, that I went, crap, am I gonna? Yeah, I guess I can just be an employee, and you know, not really. I love my job. The job that I do is like what I do now. I'm basically coaching 30 people, and helping the business grow. But it's not helping me grow. in profit. It's helping them grow in profit.
Right.
So I love doing what I do. But so I was in despair. And then I met Sharon. And just before I met Sharon, I had a heart event. I have some heart disease in my family, and it was crippling almost, scary. And because my dad had a stroke and he had a heart valve, 2 open heart surgeries, my brother had strokes, and I was afraid I was having a stroke. So stupid me, I drove myself to the hospital and spent the night over there, and I prayed a lot, and my friends came, my coworkers, and the next morning they said, "Yep, we're going to discharge you." I went, "Wow." Last night I was worried about whether or not I was going to live until the morning because I was afraid to go to sleep.
Uh,
And then when I got home, when they discharged me, I was thinking about what am I going to eat tonight? So
mm,
it's just a total shift. So
right.
I set out to reinvent myself, and then I met Sharon. We were both had previous relationships, and we were at the point where I'm fine. I can live alone for the rest of my life. I've done it this far. I'll be great. I'm fine. So then we met each other, and then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna start back into coaching because I told her about what I was doing. She goes, "Well, why don't you go do that?" And so she encouraged me, and then I landed a client and started getting some traction, started making some money, and then COVID hit, and so that kind of fell through. And I went, you know what? Gosh, I know I can do this. I know I can help people, but I can't be general. I have to be real specific about what I do. And then I went to a summit and was learning how to do challenges
Mhm.
and how to create programs. And I went, okay, for once in my life, I had to be focused. I had to choose what I was going to focus on, which is really hard when you're a generalist, because I can help you with your operations and your music and all these other things. What can I do? What have I been doing, and what can I help people do most? Well, everyone needs leads, and everyone a lot of them are afraid of technology and afraid of harnessing it because they don't know how. They don't even know what questions to ask. They just go, ugh, I know I need a lead magnet. I know I need a landing page. I know I need this. There's email follow up. There's SEO. It goes on and on and on in the digital marketing and offline also, as you know.
Mhm.
And so I picked lead generation for coaches. So I started working with coaches, and I happened to be at this summit was for coaches. It was to teach coaches how to create programs. And I was in what in sales they call a target rich environment where your ideal clients were gathered. And so what I did is I created a mind map because we were outlining what our program would look like. I created a mind map and I shared my screen and I showed it to people, and and the host, which her name was Alina Vincent, she said, "How many of you would be interested in that?" And hands started going up, and I went, "Oh, I've
Wow.
got I've got something." And so at the end of the summit, um, I had developed my outline further, and I knew the languaging I was going to use and the lead machine, the step-by-step tech easy system for getting leads online. Attention coaches. Do you struggle with getting leads online? Do you hate technology?
Is that who your ideal client is? Are coaches?
Uh, it happened to be one of the types of clients that I work with. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because I do like having been in corporate America and being in big companies and working with Merck and Pfizer and American Airlines and all these other companies I've worked with, I realized that I did not like the politics. I didn't like all the, just there's a lot of friction to get from here to there to actually implement things. Uh, it was always a struggle to get things implemented because of all the politics and of people who not know what they want, and there's nobody has responsibility, but everyone wants to point the finger. you know, I didn't want that, so I like working directly with business owners,
Hmm.
and coaches are business owners. Authors are business owners, speakers are business owners,
Yep.
solo entrepreneurs of many different kinds. I have a lot of healers in my group, in my mastermind group. The Lead Machine, the Turbocharge Your Lead Machine mastermind group, is my private coaching group that I have. Primarily coaches, but I do have some brick and mortar people in there, and but they all have the same. They all have problem with implementing technology. They have problems with marketing message, knowing how to be clear to articulate what their value is, and just putting that all together. And email marketing is a real struggle for them too, because they don't know what to say. Just like I know you love to write, and how we talked recently we talked about how you love to write, and you started sharing a slice of life, and you baked in some education, you baked in some promotion, and you built a relationship. And that's what I'm teaching them to do, all of those things, uh, to uh, to succeed. So yeah, could it scale up to be smaller, medium-sized business? Absolutely. But a lot of them, there's a lot of politics, and I kind of that sweet spot where I'm talking directly to the person who's implementing it,
Yeah.
because we can pull up our screen. They can share their screen, and I can say, here, point here, click there, do this. Let's run the chat bot. Let's get the ideas that we need. Let's analyze your stuff, and put it all together. Here's the plan. I just did this just before the show today, just before taping. One of my private clients, private one-on-one clients, is on a telesummit. And what we did is we used Chat GPT to analyze her freebie, her book,
Hmm.
and because she needs to offer a freebie and get leads. And so we're creating a landing page and an email follow-up system. So I had the chat bot analyze her PDF and create landing page copy. And I described her audience and said, what would be some great titles for this? And of course, the book was already there. So who would be and we already know who the audience was. So we had it write landing page copy and email follow-ups, bullets, the whole 9 yards, to so that next time we meet with her, we're going to put all that together. We're going to plug it all in. And so that lights me up. It's just like playing the drums. That lights me up when I see people dancing, when I see people implementing the plans that I give them, that we develop together, and they succeed at it. That's loving. That's what I love to do. So going from quitting to thriving. Now that I've got and I started about a year and ago with the Lead Machine, almost a year it would be in October. Uh, it was like, what it felt like when you got your first bike,
Hmm.
and you know how free you were, because you had to depend on everybody to take you here, get you there. You had to arrange for rides, but as soon as you got that bike, you had freedom. And now I have freedom because I have clarity in what I want to do.
I
And
love.
I know that people are getting results from the work that I'm helping them with.
Well, that's awesome. So let me ask. Let me ask this. Where's the who is the best type of client besides a coach, a speaker, an author? What's that next person that might be like? Do you niche your people down? Do you niche your I guess that's what I'm really asking is, do you create a niche or do you have a niche other than I kind of consider coaches, speakers, and authors all one niche, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you have a second niche other than those people?
Yeah, I do. Small companies, it can be a small business owner with a small team or a solo, um, probably up to 15 people.
Hmm.
There's usually administrative, there's never IT, there's never marketing, and there's usually some line workers or shop or producers that ship or receive or whatever. Small companies like that, I've worked a lot with, and in fact, have been employed by companies like that, and started my own companies like that. in the past. Uh, those people who really need that extra IT planning direction
Mhm.
and the marketing messaging and just the operations to put it all together. I'm an implementer. If you look at some of my profiles on social media, you know, believer, father, implementalist. Well, people don't know what an implementalist is, but it's a maestro, a virtuoso of putting these different things together. My creative mind with drumming and patterns and things like that. And then there's, just the technical aspects and knowing how to get out of you the enable you to articulate what it is that you provide. Most business owners don't really know, or many don't know the value that they're providing. And so there are so many different strategies that you can use and tactics like quizzes and voice of the customer, talking to your customers, asking why they why they bought from you, and analyzing what you've sold them to say, oh, what do people buy from me most? Those kinds of things people don't always think about. Those are the low hanging fruit that small business companies like that can really take advantage of. But I think the common thing would be that they had to have a product or a service that's successful,
Yeah.
but they've hit a plateau because they don't know how to put the rest of it together.
Yeah. I think you said something really interesting, but I think I would might say it maybe a little bit differently. That you said that how I see it is that they don't know the value that they provide. I think they realize they're providing great value. Where I think that they're struggling is they don't have any self worth. They don't see the
Oh,
while they see the value, they still don't know how to charge for the value. That's where I see so many small business owners. They know
yeah.
they're providing good stuff. That's why they get so ticked off about giving away, giving away, giving away, giving away, because they don't see their value in charging for it, meaning they don't know how to make an offer, right? They don't know how
Yeah.
to have that sales conversation, how to ask for that sale for the amount of money that they should be getting paid for that. So I do think that that's how I'm looking at it, Paul, is that I've just seen wait, and maybe it's the difference between men and women because you just kind of indicated that you always use the word he, right? That so and I work with that she. So
It's funny though. Most of my clients are women.
I'm not surprised women will invest in themselves more than men will at all.
They will, and they're more willing to ask for help when they realize that they need it.
Exactly.
They need it.
Exactly.
And when you're what you said about the offer is and that goes back to articulating your value, being able
Right.
to put into words what your value is. And
Right.
then and that is the essence, the core of your offer. So when you're talking about your offer, you have to say what it is and what you're going to get out of it and how much it costs and why you should buy it, why you should buy it now,
Yep.
and why you should buy it from me over everyone else.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here today. This has
Oh,
been a blast. I don't know that I said that at the beginning that we run, between 15 and 30 minutes and we're right here in the middle of that.
oh yeah.
But one thing I have a couple questions here
Okay.
that so drummer, you just said I love to see people dance. How good of a dancer are you?
Terrible.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought you were gonna say, but I bet you can get a really good beat going there, right?
Absolutely. And I know I can dance. I just haven't had the right training or had it's not the training, it's the focus. And what do I focus my energy on most are things that I want to accomplish the most.
Right.
And dancing isn't at the top of my list, but now that I've remarried and met Sharon, and we've talked about getting some dancing lessons, but with the kids and the gigs and the everything else, there's not a lot of time for that. But
Right.
you know I was in a class, a boot camp, fitness boot camp for 3 or 4 years. And we were doing all kinds of moves and things like that. And I had no problem doing that. So I just felt a little self conscious. Of course, I was in a room with a bunch of women, so I liked that. Um, but, yeah, I know that I can move, and I do it every night when I play.
Yeah.
It's just I'm making the beat. I'm making them dance instead of me dancing.
You were the
So
puppeteer behind the drums,
that's right.
getting your little marionettes to dance for you. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, I always ask people at the end of every interview, what is the one piece of advice you would give to business owners, to small business owners, that they would need to be more successful?
Hmm. Get clear on what you want, where you want to go, make a plan to get there, and take action every day. There's a book called the Slight Edge,
Mhm.
and I like to use this metaphor. Uh, you notice when you're driving in the Midwest, there's lots of ponds and things like that. So you're driving down the road, and you see in the springtime, you see this little pond, and it's nice clear water, and you drive by that every day on your way to work or on the way to the store. But all of a sudden, one day, there's lily pads, and they're covered. The whole pond is covered. Well, those lily pads didn't grow overnight. They grew one day at a time, just a little bit, and they're all under the surface until one day they went pop, and they're all there. And so the power of incremental action is one thing that I teach my clients in my mastermind group, because they need to take action every single day towards those goals if they really want to achieve them.
Well, I love that because, and I think every coach has a favorite book that they like to refer to. So I think that one was written by Jeff Olson, right?
Yes, it was.
But you don't know this, but I have a friend, she's a dear friend of mine, who has a story. Jeff Olson interviewed her. What her story is in that book.
Oh,
Lynn Lionhood, her husband was a Chicago police officer and got hit by a semi and drug. And he
oh,
just they did not think he was gonna make it. He's been on disability since that happened. Um, but that was he was 30 or 35, 40 years old when that happened. He just turned 70 because of the little bit of action every day that she took to keep her husband alive, right?
yeah,
So I love when I hear somebody talk about the slight edge. I think that I can't help but think about her and how she used that strategy
yeah,
of just a little bit more every day. If you can take one step today, tomorrow you can take two. If you can take two tomorrow, you can take three the next day, right? And how she saved her husband's life because of that, because he was ready to give up.
yeah. That's an amazing story. And
Yeah.
it's hard to do that, especially when you're a small business owner and you have all these roles,
Mhm.
because that incremental action is like, okay, I need to teach my admin how to do this what thing that I do because I know that that's not a revenue producing thing for me.
Right.
But they'll always say it'll be easier for me to just do it myself than to train. That's the wrong mindset to have. You need to stop and document what you do. And now with AI, it's so much easier to do, because you can record yourself doing the task, have GPT create a standard operating procedure, and then train your person how to do it and hand it off. Uh, but you've got to have that mindset that I'm going to go to work at this one little incremental step at a time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I feel like I do this all the time. I'm like, I'll say goodbye and then I'll have something else. And it was just thinking about my little grandson, he's 2, and when he leaves here, he's like on the Elvis has left the building goodbye tour. It's like goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And I it makes me laugh when I think about this. So first of all, thanks again for being here. I so enjoyed this conversation and
Me
hearing
too.
more about what you are doing and helping small business owners. Listen, I'm going to take just a minute here, Paul, to talk about the Second Act Conference coming up in October, for women business owners over 50, but men are allowed to. It's not just for that, but really what I am my ideal client. I am that business owner over at
Mhm.
actually 60 and still thriving. And if you would like more information about that, go to secondactevent.com. 3 full days of number one, business growth strategies. But on the other hand, it is going to be 3 full days of how to turn you from boring to badass in 3
Nice.
days as a business owner. And we'd love to have you, Paul. We'd love to have you there too if you could find the time. And check that out. And hope to see you all soon. Check back again next week for another Milk Crate moment. Have a great day. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much.